right, welcome to The Roads Less Taken. We are on episode number 3. I'm Anthony Lapia, and we're here with
Don Valentis.
And we have a special guest today. So, Byron, and it's Byron Lazine.
Byron Lazine.
Brian Lazine.
Lazine. It's like Levine, but no V. You know, Levine is very common. Lazine is not. I'm one of 19 Lazines in America today that I know about, that I've researched. I got to do the whole, heritage tree. What is that called?
Like the 23andMe thing?
Yeah, whatever it is.
Or, what's it? You spit in a cup, right?
You get, I guess you spit or piss. You do something like that.
You urinate in a cup, and then you get results of all your family members instantly.
It tells you what you really are, your family members. But yes, the research I've done, I'm one of 19 Lazines, which is why I can get my handle on anything like IG or Twitter. I can always get at Byron Lazine. It's always available. So there's the little name recap.
One of the many benefits of being one of the 19 Lazines.
Yeah, that's the only benefit, by the way.
Well, we'll get into more of those today. So we've been specializing in bringing in guests to tell their stories on the last 2 episodes of Roads Less Taken. So we'll get into yours a little bit as well, but we mostly just wanted to hang out. Don and I have taken a look at the last 2 episodes, and our guests have been amazing. We'd give ourselves a mediocre grade. Right,
I'd say mediocre at best.
Poor to like quite poor.
Quite.
And we're going to get some real-time feedback from Byron, who runs his own podcast. It's The Real Word.
The Real Word, 5 a.m. Call, Byron Lazine podcast.
Okay.
Wow.
Stop bragging.
Any other ones?
What do all the other Lazines do?
Nothing.
You're carrying the 19, the other 18.
The name.
Except for my sister. She does all our writing. She's working her butt off. But the rest of them, I don't know what they're doing. Well, my wife, she's taking care of my daughter. Other than that, they're all useless.
The other 16 are in deep shit. That's the bottom line.
Oh, absolutely.
So we're gonna run through some topics, just hang out. It's almost gonna be like a barbershop, just not as cool as LeBron James. He does the barbershop.
Dude, have you guys seen that show?
It's awesome.
Have you watched it?
It's awesome.
I saw it on a flight back. Sam, were you on that flight? I told you. Yeah, we were talking about this. I just think their setup is good. Their flow of bringing in, they had guests. I don't know. I only watched a couple, but they had guests in the first half hour, and then new guests filter in. So it's like a real barbershop. People are leaving and coming and going, and the flow is really good.
It is.
LeBron James has absolutely no value, by the way. I don't know if you guys noticed that.
I was gonna say I haven't watched it. Or I haven't listened to it because I'm not a LeBron fan. I don't like him at all.
His partner brings it. Maverick Carter, his business partner, he brings it. And then depending on the guest, they had Drake one time. Drake brings absolutely no value to my life. I don't know about you guys. I'm not a Drake fan. Maybe I can, bounce to a couple of his songs or something. But
I was going to say.
You
definitely Kiki. Do you love? Yeah, okay.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
But him with his POVs, awful.
I'm a huge LeBron fan. He knows this. I'm a LeBron apologist.
Dude, Jordan love era.
LeBron.
That's so.
I am, but here's the deal, man.
He's an apologist.
All of us here are Jordan era guys, and
love MJ.
And you're a LeBron.
Love
fan.
MJ, but LeBron
More?
to me is greater. Here's why.
More? Oh
Yes.
man.
And I know this is either going to be a hit or a miss.
I got to hear this, and then we got to circle
Sounds
back
like
to
it's
the
gonna be
real
a miss.
reason you have me on the podcast. But yeah, let's.
This may
hit
make
this
or break
right
it.
now.
The real-time
I might
feedback
just
here
leave.
may be devastating.
I might leave, honestly.
So basketball player MJ superior. There is no one better than MJ
Okay.
on the
All
court.
right. Good. There you go.
When you look at the full picture in terms of contribution to society as an athlete and living up to the promise that LeBron has.
Well,
So came on the scene,
okay.
17, every reason to be in the police blotter, do all the wrong things, whatever. So he's done one of two things. He either really is an amazing human being, or he surrounded himself with the people that steer him to look to be such. Right? With the investments.
LeBron surrounded himself with really good people, but I'm not ranking the GOAT in the way you're ranking it with impact on humanity and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Although I would say that MJ is probably, I think the trend, LeBron is trending to surpass MJ in that, but MJ is the first black owner, I think, of any major sport, but certainly in basketball for sure. So he's broken some serious barriers. I mean, I get it. People think MJ's a dick, and he's had some things off the court.
The Hall of Fame speech killed me.
Dude, the Hall of Fame,
It
I
just
love
broke
it.
my heart,
Oh
man.
my gosh.
But
I
that was
love
him.
the Hall of Fame.
That was
all
him.
him, man. He remembers these people that passed on him, and
He's like Tom Brady.
Dude, MJ's my all-time, man. I can't. There's two athletes that when MJ was in his prime, I would stop anything I was doing to watch it. And if Tiger is on a Sunday competing for a major championship, and again, another questionable dude off the course, I get that. But if he's competing on a Sunday for a major, I am stopping whatever I'm doing and I'm watching it because those two guys can take over literally the world and you don't want to miss it. Like, it is just, you have to see it.
Transcend sports.
Dude, I agree with that.
It's unbelievable.
Also, Jordan was 40, 50 pounds lighter, shorter. And he was amazing. He was amazing at what he was.
He was 6'6", though, man.
There's one Michael Jordan.
Yeah, you're right.
He wasn't 6'1".
I didn't say, I said 40 pounds lighter. He was shorter too.
Yeah, LeBron's a Mack truck.
Different players.
Different type of player. LeBron's amazing.
The thing about, and here's the thing. Okay, so they're both have had some questionable situations off the, golf course and off the court for MJ, but they both have, and maybe it's why they have it, Michael Jordan and Tiger Woods both have this absolute killer instinct to
Absolutely.
them, right? Where LeBron doesn't quite have that.
Never has.
Yeah.
Never has.
That's the separator for me.
So he stayed, which means that my point was okay, if not agreeable. You found some validity in it.
No, he doesn't agree with you at all.
Yeah. No, okay. I mean, I just, no. Michael Jordan's greater than LeBron. Like, I just can't. I mean, because here's how I'll also rank that too. If we were gonna do like a backyard, like pick 10 sports or 10 games, like we're gonna sit here and play checkers, then we're gonna go in the backyard, we're gonna do wiffle ball, and we're gonna play some basketball, and we're gonna do like 10 competitive, active things. I'm drafting Michael Jordan 10 out of 10 times over LeBron.
You'd rather have him as a teammate.
I just rather have him. Yeah, you call it teammate, one-on-one. Like, I'm putting my money every time on MJ, and I'm guessing 7 or 8 out of the 10, I'm getting money back.
And we should go back to this because we talked when we were just sort of sitting around kicking it before the show about NBA free agency. And this is an interesting topic because I believe that the best teammate might not always be the best player. Like LeBron, from a facilitation perspective, getting the best out of everybody. It's more in the school of Magic and Bird. Kobe and Jordan are different animals. Like, if I'm betting on somebody, I'm betting on them. If I have one person to take the last shot, I want them, right?
So there were definitely teammates, and you can go back into the history on MJ, for example. And really, LeBron's gotten some criticism on his teammate, how he deals with teammates in the media. And certainly Michael Jordan knocked out, who did he knock out?
Steve Kerr and Will Purdue.
He
went big and small.
And Will Purdue was like 7.
Jordan was a killer.
7 feet tall, isn't he?
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Nobody outworked Jordan. He had the coach, Tim Grover, which that's a book, Relentless. Have you guys read that book?
No, I've read a couple of Jordan biographies, but I haven't read
No, this one is the personal coach of Michael Jordan,
it's by
Tim Grover.
Okay.
It's his book. It's called Relentless. Absolutely pick this up. It's going to help you in everything, like in just being relentless, basically, and not quitting. So Michael Jordan outworked everybody. He went and hired Tim Grover, same coach that Kobe Bryant had too, by the way, and Dwayne Wade. And maybe he wasn't the nicest guy to his teammates, certainly not Kerr or Purdue in those situations, but he was putting in so much extra work than everybody else. He was making everybody, think about Scottie Pippen and these guys who he made them extra millions, not only during their career, but after their career because of what they accomplished. That to me almost makes him a better teammate because of the amount of work that he was putting in on top of practice, on top of everything else. He was freaking just totally obsessed.
Setting a high bar.
Setting such a high bar. Yeah. Yeah, to me, there's just no question, especially when you dig into a book like that and you realize the mindset that it takes to be an absolute killer out there.
I think there's a lot of athletes in our time that have been like that. Kobe.
Kobe is the example, dude.
Kobe's the closest thing to MJ. Kobe always will be.
He was a complete psychopath.
Here's how my
at
view
his profession and made everybody better.
My view on LeBron will change probably when he retires because I hated Kobe Bryant. I'm a Celtics fan.
So am I.
and I was a Bulls fan until Jordan retired, but then I was just like, I'll root for the local team, right? But I hated Kobe Bryant his entire career. Thought he was like just, a jerk. That doesn't really matter in sports, but hated him until I started to read content after he retired about how this dude was so obsessed, like Michael Jordan style.
Video preparation, practice hours. I read some stuff.
He
on Kobe
literally copied everything Jordan did down to a T. I mean, as business guys, that's what we should be doing. Hey, that's working over there on a big scale. Like, how can I learn from that, implement that into my business, and implement that into what I do, right, Don? Like, it's just practical. And Jordan did that his entire career, down to the footwork, down to the way he would do interviews, the way he would talk, emulating Jordan with no shame. That put him in the top 10 greatest players of all time by doing that. Could have maybe passed him if him and Shaq stayed. Wouldn't have passed Michael Jordan, but could have maybe in rings if him and Shaq stayed together. And I have nothing. I love Kobe Bryant now. I absolutely, like, anytime
Agreed.
I get...
My point of view is
he's so competitive. He didn't want to do it with Shaq. He wanted to prove he could do it without him.
He won an Oscar.
When you're that big of an alpha dude, like, you don't want to do it with Shaq.
Kobe won an Oscar after he retired.
And what pissed him off and fueled him more is when Shaq won one.
Anytime I get a chance to consume a Kobe Bryant interview where I know he's going to talk about some of this, like the Black Mamba side, I'm always all in on it. 20 minutes, 30 minutes, like, that's gym content. I'm listening to Kobe, man. Like, I love Kobe now. Never would have, asked me, certainly when they won that Game 7 when I think Rasheed Wallace went down.
Yes.
Rasheed.
They were depleted.
Kendrick Perkins.
Kendrick Perkins.
But Rasheed Wallace played like he was done. He was already done at that point.
They were on fumes.
It actually was a phenomenal game by him.
Well, it's also Ron Artest.
He did have a good game.
Who goes by the name of
Meta
World Peace now, hit the game-winning three.
Hit that shot.
Hit the game-winning three. And then thanked his psychiatrist.
That pissed me off so much because there's a guy who's a real jerk who didn't deserve it. Although I did just see him on a interview
Showtime
recently.
thing. Did you see the Showtime movie?
Yeah, they were really making him look good.
Yeah.
He's a St. John's guy.
Little Riz
I don't know if you guys know this, but UConn is going back to the Big East.
I know. I saw that. That was recent.
Huge.
I missed the Big East. Madison Square Garden Big East tournament used to be the best thing locally that you could go to.
And I think the Big East still goes to the MSG,
They do,
right? So now you get UConn back.
It's your big schools.
It was like UConn's second home. Essentially, it's their second home, and it hasn't been that way, even though they've played there. But speaking of circling back, let's go back to our podcast.
Wow,
let's talk about it.
Wow, talk about raising a high bar and being obsessed with excellence. Don Valentes.
See how I fired that back?
Listen, let's go back. Let me frame this up, right? Because we were I think we were texting, right? And we were texting about the podcast, your guys' podcast, and you said to me, you're like, man, like you said, we had two great guests, but we don't feel like that you could sit down and watch the podcast, or like the content was that enriching or whatever, right? And that you didn't you wanted to change it up. You wanted a spark or something like that.
I want the chemistry that we have in our regular conversations to come across on air.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, because you guys.
What do you think?
How long have you guys known each other again?
Like
too long.
Like 255 years.
Yes. Right. So you guys have great chemistry, but it's a little bit different when you put the light on and you're doing the whole thing and you're recording something that other people are going to be spending 45 minutes consuming, whether they're in the gym or they're in their morning routine, or they're just kind of vegging out at night and watching, whatever the case may be. And you want that to be good. You want to deliver good content. Here's what my constructive criticism, is that the word? No. My feedback for that type of thinking would be, this is your third podcast. So there's got to be some element of patience, right? Patience, okay, that's a boring thing to say because it's like, okay, patience, great, check. I'll be more patient. Now what, right? Here's what I'm going to tell you. Your piece of 45-minute piece of content here and the outbreaks that you get off of it, you need to go on top of that and do more face to the camera, right? A face to the phone, right? And just now pull out another, even though you're pulling out the content for Instagram story and this kind of stuff, I would pull out, just face the camera. Hey guys, I was talking, you know, if I'm done, I was talking to this with my boy Ant, like, here's what we were talking about on the podcast. Here's the feedback I'm getting when I talk to other people, right? Do the setup, right? Talk about that conflict. And then what was the resolution on the podcast? Now, if they like the 3, 4, 5 minutes and you do that on IGTV or on a Facebook Live or whatever the thing may be, but you're referencing, hey, you do this once or twice a week, referencing back to we talked about this on the podcast, we talked about this on the podcast. Now, people are going to be like, man, I want to watch the rest of that podcast, right? They're going to catch these 2, 3, 4, 5 minute authentic, just raw, just super raw, face into the phone, pieces of content, referencing the podcast. They're going to go back and check it out.
Supplemental carries out the narrative, right? Builds some relationship outside of just the tapings.
Yeah, and it's super engaging because it's just you speaking into your camera, which is always just raw, good stuff. And if you're framing it up where you're referring back to the content that you produced on, you know, because you're doing this once a month.
Yeah,
once a month.
Right? So there needs to be more conversation around it. Like, you know, my podcasts right now are flowing pretty good, right? We mentioned it, but I'm over 1,000 deep. You know, I have a radio show that I've done for over 3 years every single week. That's over 150 episodes right there of an hour-long show. I did a show before we started doing The Real Word, which was up at like 150 plus episodes. That channel, which doesn't even exist anymore, my original...
That's the first show I saw you on.
Yeah. My original YouTube channel, which doesn't even exist anymore, had over 350 videos on it, where they were bite-sized pieces of content or podcast type of shows. The Real Word now, we just did today. We did episode 77 today. 5 a.m. call is every single day. That's 5-minute podcast, short little thing, but that's every single day for the last 2+ years. So there's 700.
It's like the 10,000 hour rule, right? It's the outliers piece.
Exactly. So if you're doing a mega piece of content, the podcast, every single month, where can you fit into your schedule those 2, 3, 4-minute videos that you're just going to clip out on a regular basis? I would prefer you guys doing it on IGTV to just continue to engage in this conversation, right? And it could be as simple as, hey, our guest killed it, right? Our guest killed it. So-and-so killed it on the last podcast. What can me and Don are sitting here and we're talking about what can we do better? What do you think we can do better? Love for you to go check out the podcast. Like, it could just be a video around that, just driving, you know, a few more people over. Leave me a comment on the YouTube. Leave me a comment here, right? But get the conversation going with people. I think that's a huge opportunity that I'm not even doing enough of. I did one today, but I'm not doing enough of it.
Interestingly enough, like one thing that hasn't come up as we've chatted about it, either post watching it or post taping, we just keep bringing up fun. Like, we haven't once said like, oh, I wonder if anybody's gonna watch. Like, literally, he doesn't care, and we both are in a place where, you know, our work is our work, and this is something that's like a creative outlet. So if people watch, cool, but we want to feel like, do we like it? Which I've loved the guests, and I'm going to ask you to have an intervention with me with Don, because we're so close that I can't even say these things to him. You need to.
The name of that thing isn't it called
Lazine
18 and Me? Is that the
23 and Me?
Oh, 23.
What are you watching?
I don't know. I'm still trying to think of the
18 and Me, Don. Jeez.
I'm still trying to think
This
of
is not the intervention
kit
I
that
was
you
thinking
got.
of, by the way.
Okay. I mean, if that is what you're watching, we are going to step in here.
One thing we talked about is that we're being too nice to each other. Not once when we have a regular conversation does he let me get away. Like, if I'm controlling on the podcast, right? Like, I'm always leading the content or whatever. And he's like, what's the format today? He has never, like, in regular life, he'll step in, make fun of me. He'll call me out for being too controlling. And I'm being too nice to him, too. Like, when he's not talking, I'm not yelling at him for not talking.
I would. That's a huge
I think what you guys have
advantage
in your
in
your podcast, especially
the yin and the
podcast
yang.
with Nicole, is you guys feed off of each other. You bring a big, and I want to say what she does isn't serious, but you bring a more serious side to it, and she'll be like, whatever, you know, and you guys jive together. And we do too, but I think what we've done is we've gone way too formal, and we've had the podcast go just it's basically an interview. So it's Q&A for 40 minutes, and we're allowing the guest to run it. Where
you can still go interview style with the banter mixed in.
I think we'll go 15 minutes on the interview at this point and do some other stuff.
I would even do
topics. They're still in it like you are.
Yeah, I mean,
right now
with me and Nicole, that show is basically not as boring as these two guys, but I'm Pat Summerall, she's John Madden type of thing.
I thought you were going to say Anthony Dunn.
Right. I think Pat Summerall and John Madden were enthralling.
Yeah.
I want a chalkboard. Circle.
You should have said not as boring as you two.
No.
He's getting to that later.
Yeah.
My
That's what he
point
wanted to say, but didn't say.
We should have brought on the other Lazines.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
you
the other
want to talk
16.
about a snoozer. Number 3 would have been a total snoozer. You bring in those other Lazines. But here's the thing. Like, Pat Summerall, John Madden, meaning we each have our role, you know, in a sense. And so I think finding your role, but absolutely be open to the fact that, like, hey, we're working hard to make the content engaging and entertaining. So if I say something, you know, if you guys have certain boundaries, this is off the table or whatever, then you guys got to obviously respect that. But have this, you know, take the barrier down. Like, I'm not going to get offended by anything either of you guys say. I'm certainly not, but you two, each other are on these podcasts, because it's not for you. It's for whoever's consuming it.
Right. One of the things that Don has brought up that's been really helpful is people have, whether it's friends or people he works with, have brought up, hey, you have an inspirational podcast. Like, why is that your focus? And then we talked about it. And our idea for Roads Less Taken wasn't supposed to be inspirational. It's that our first guest, who murdered it, like really killed it and did a great job, and she got a lot of great feedback, was inspirational by nature. Al, who came on, Al Montagna, who's the CEO of Unorthodox, came on the next episode, and he's just a real conversational guy like you, very funny. He was putting out some content that was somewhat inspiring if you were going to start your own thing, but that wasn't his goal. He just wanted to have a dialogue.
No, and that's where we dropped the ball. He had so much interest, so many different interesting things that happened.
Yeah, we were focused on interview.
In his life. We kind of just focus it. It's just a focused interview, but I think he could have gotten across his message of Unorthodox in probably 5 minutes or 10 minutes if he condensed it.
Yeah, we kept
but
him
then
there.
He was an EMS at 9/11 at Ground Zero.
Yeah.
He had a lot of fun stories from Unorthodox where they have like bachelor and bachelorette parties and stuff that he was telling us that we could have segued into and really had some fun with it. And we didn't.
With the guest, though, in pre-interviews, we've been safe about like what boundaries to keep it in for them, which is important.
So, yeah.
But the one thing I was gonna put out there is, like, for anybody listening, like, the intent was never necessarily to be preachy or inspiring. It was to say Roads Less Taken was about, you tell that story all the time about how you got your start in the real estate business. And it was basically like this, you know, I'm making a pivot because I'm going to do what I like, right? It's almost like, and in some cases it's like people are throwing up the double middle fingers to corporate America and saying, I'm going to do my thing. In other cases, it's like, hey, I tried something, I didn't really like it, and I went to go do something I liked better. But it was never supposed to inspire, it was more to inform. And then say, hey, you know, where could we take this conversation? So,
and there's a couple ways to do it. There are some people that have really like well followed podcasts and interview shows that follow a specific script and they won't bounce off of it. I think the two people in podcast land that are asking the best, like, you know, they hear something from the guest and then they ask the great follow-up question, which unlocks some of the stuff that you're talking about.
The JR.
Who's JR?
Joe Rogan.
JR. That's where I was going to go. Joe Rogan and Tom Bilyeu. Both of those guys have a great knack at getting, and Joe Rogan has absolutely no script. Tom Bilyeu does have a script that he follows, but he will get off script and ask the phenomenal follow-up question that unlocks the great piece of content. Or there's a podcast I did tell you guys to check out because of the way you formatted it, and I've watched probably 4 or 5 of their shows to know that they do have a defined script, but they do have the serious guy and the funny guy role, and they're strictly interviewing, and that's the guy from Barstool and A-Rod. I never remember his name, but the Barstool guy and A-Rod, and they're interviewing. What they're doing is they're you know, recording all their content and then putting it out in seasons. But A-Rod is the serious, like he's got the notepad, like he's done his homework on the guest.
Yeah, I'll take a guess at which guy I get to be.
And he's
Notepad.
And he's like really
Nice notepad.
you would
Notepad.
think, have you, either of you guys checked that show out at
Trapper.
all?
I have, yeah. There was one someone turned
I
me on
haven't.
one recently too that I'm trying to think of the name.
You
of.
would think that A-Rod is like some up and coming interviewer, and he's so humble in the sense of how much work and effort he puts into it that you wouldn't think the dude, he had a $300 million contract at some point. And then you got the guy from Barstool who's just literally trying to squeak in jokes, and he does a great job. They do a really good job.
Barstool doesn't do anything bad. Everything they do is awesome.
Yeah. No, that's true.
Well, I think they do a great job of not taking themselves too seriously.
Yep.
I'll say, and this has nothing to do with what we're talking about. Why does everybody anyone who's super talented, whether you're an athlete or a musician or an actor, why do you have to be good at everything?
You mean like A-Rod's good at everything?
Like A-Rod's good at everything. He was
Poker.
one of the best baseball players ever. He's a phenomenal analyst, and now he's on a podcast that's doing well. Bradley Cooper is a great actor. The dude can sing.
He wasn't good at that.
Yeah, that one.
You know what I mean, though. How come every actor can sing?
Well,
They're all
about
good
that.
dancers.
I don't know about but I think A-Rod was or is right now. From everything that I know about online, he is a great businessman. So I think he's doing the podcast to build brand.
I think A-Rod also has that part of his personality where he's obsessed with looking good. Like he wants to be liked. He has.
Dude, are you kidding me? No doubt.
Wants to be liked.
Yeah.
Of course.
And now he's dating J-Lo, right? Are they married?
For a long time.
Yeah, his life doesn't suck.
Yeah, pretty good life.
Nothing about his life sucks.
You're 6'3". What are you complaining about? You got a good life too. Look at you. You look like you played golf at some point today.
You didn't
Dressed
though,
up-
right?
We're
you just
talking
dressed
about
like a golfer.
A-Rod.
You wouldn't paint yourself with that brush. You wouldn't put yourself in that category.
I've been slinging mortgages all day, and now on a podcast with you guys. I'm not hanging out
You're
with
right,
J-Lo
man.
later.
A-Rod got nothing on you.
Yeah, not
point.
Don Valentes. Did you do lunch down here on the shore?
I did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good.
Don has boat shoes on today. He's been on the shore. You can tell
Because
It
I knew
works
I would
for
be
him.
working from here for a little bit today. I did call to ask him if my attire would be
Yeah.
appropriate.
Yeah, you had. I didn't make that call. Is that what you're trying to insinuate?
Yeah.
No, you guys can wear whatever you want.
I
now.
went
We're not-
casual instead of business casual.
He's wearing a schmedium.
I have a schmedium on.
I'm a schmedium guy.
There you go.
Yeah.
See,
Oh, nice.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
You're now at. I'm a follower, obviously, but you have. We talking 279 consecutive days at the gym. What are you at?
277 or something. It's right in that.
No
mix.
days off, man.
No, there have been a few days off.
There have.
Watch the IGTV video I just put out.
You
today.
said you gave yourself 5, right?
No, I gave myself 15, but I
Oh,
went
okay.
over the 15. But I'm still committed to my date of finishing. So this is what it was. On August 19th of last year, 2018, I said I'm going to do 350 gym sessions in the next 365 days. So I gave myself 15 days off. I didn't plan on getting sick. Here's my excuse modes coming, which don't count,
Yeah,
right?
we'll-
I didn't
we'll-
plan on getting sick.
We'll run advertisements during this section. We got a
travel.
lot of listeners.
Certain things, I went to Florida a week ago, and I couldn't get into the gym in our community because I needed to update my fingerprint, and then I never felt like doing that, so I blew 6 days right there. Anyway, excuses don't count when you set a big, audacious goal. They just don't count because the goal doesn't care. So you've got two choices at that point, right? You can either adjust the goal out. I could have said, I'm going to push this out till the end of the year, and people would have been like, dude, you're a badass. Freaking, 15 months, you're going to do 350 gym sessions in 15 months. That's insane, right? Or you can adjust your actions inside of the time frame that you already set.
So double sessions.
I'm doing double sessions, dude.
You're doing 2-a-days?
I'm doing 2-a-days. Like I'm fucking training
You
for
better-
the New York Giants.
How many?
You better
What's a
get
streak?
You better get
Like,
your
when-
ass over.
when
Did
did
you
it-
swear on your
relentless.
podcast? I didn't even ask you
Yes.
guys.
Well,
Sam
now
will
you
have to beep
now
this.
he asked.
Well, Sam, you
I
have to
wish-
beep these out for these guys. I think I swore twice.
No, we're
I
good with
wish
it.
that people would swear more. But what's
Starts
a
with you,
streak?
Don.
When did you consider yours like a streak? 2, 3?
No, I was streaking before I set the 350 to.
Yeah. So what number was that?
I was streaking probably.
After 2, 3?
No. Meaning, before I even started at 1, I probably had a streak of 30 or 40 or something consecutive without even a day off.
That's what I'm
you
saying. I'm
thought,
not talking
let's
about your
run
goal.
this.
I'm talking about
Oh,
when
I mean,
you started.
can I go backwards and
Yeah.
grab those? No. When I said it on August 19th, I said, this is what I'm going to do for the next 365, and I'm going to do it. There's just no chance I'm not going to do it. So double sessions are now in the recipe from now through August 19th. Not every day. I've got enough leeway to not have to do that every day. But yeah, double sessions. And listen, it's not. I think the gym every single day, if you can pull it off 365 days a year, is healthy, because you can go in there and work on soft tissue. You can go do cardio. The next day you can lift. Like, going in there and just stretching is good for you. Don,
I can't
stretch
touch
it
my
out.
toes.
It builds good.
So what day
workouts.
are you on? Two what?
279.
I'll tell you right now. I think it's 277-ish.
See, I think he's in that
78.
neighborhood.
I haven't been
I'm
to
right
the
in
gym
that
once
What
in
happened?
277
You
days.
better download Relentless. Get your ass to the gym.
274. Dude,
Well, if I keep doing this podcast and keep seeing my fat head, I might get into the gym.
You know what? You know what'll keep you in the gym? You download Relentless. That'll be the first audiobook you listen to in the gym. Number 2, Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. If you guys haven't...
I saw Goggins on Rogan.
And if you should definitely... Everybody listening to this podcast should just go look up... Well, you guys should make sure you're subscribed to Don and Ant's podcast. But then you should go look up...
See this?
Yeah, nice.
Then you should go look up the David
I
Goggins
have.
Joe Rogan podcast. Or just skip that and go right to his book, Can't Hurt Me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't read his book. Do not read it. Listen to it, because this is what he does. You know, most Audible books, you get the same stuff that's in the book. In between chapters, him and the guy that wrote the book for him, they go into
They have an
podcast
aside.
mode in between the chapters, where they're commenting on what could have been in the book, what was in the book, a story that was missed. They're podcasting between chapters. It's the most insane audiobook I've ever listened to, and it's David Goggins, and he's a total fucking freak. He is
a freak.
He is the most man of anybody I've ever. Actually, I did almost meet him. I heard him speak live. I didn't feel like waiting to say hi, but anyways, he is the most man version of anybody in America today. He defines relentless.
Question for you both.
Yeah.
So I've read Jocko's book, which was Extreme Ownership.
Mm-hmm.
Is also good.
I've heard about it. I haven't dug into that.
different than Goggins.
Yep.
But what is your point of view? Don and I actually we know someone who was
Jocko was like was he a Navy
he
SEAL
was
as well?
also a SEAL.
Okay.
And the opinions vary. Like, what's your opinion about being in something that is, for lack of a better description, it's Special Forces, Secret Society, sharing that experience in the media more broadly? What's your take on that? How do you feel about it? If you were a SEAL,
What kind of secret society?
Yeah,
I mean, you're not allowed to
don't know about
disclose
that.
that you're a SEAL when you're a SEAL.
But these guys aren't SEALs.
They're no longer SEALs.
Yeah. So he's he's a vet, dude. When my opinion is, listening to what that guy went through, he can do whatever the fuck he wants. That's
Right.
my opinion. He went through some shit, man. I mean, just going in, like, to how they made him go back to Buds 3 times. Like, it's insane what he went through to get through and actually be one of, I forget the exact number, but it's not many people that were a black man that made it. He might have been one of the first Navy SEALs. Like, it was mostly white dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he can do whatever he wants. I've got no problem with it. I'm guessing maybe you have
No, I'm just always curious about the opinion. I had never thought of it, and then I asked, again, a mutual friend of ours, hey, how do you feel about the ones that go public? He had a very strong opinion of, I don't like it. It exposes things that keep us safe. There are secrets that shouldn't be told. It's part of our national security, so on and so forth. And then there was like this, some of it was obviously personal code of honor. But then I talked to another who I met by way of a work event, and they had the opposite opinion. Obviously, they were there sharing their experience.
And I think David Goggins is really, you're not going to get any intellectual insight off
Right.
of his book. I don't think. I mean, everybody knows that where we were in Coronado Bay recently in San Diego, like there's training going on there. Like you don't have to be a genius to figure that out, right? And Navy SEAL training and all that kind of stuff. But I can tell you one thing for sure. Anyone that does listen to Can't Hurt Me is going to dig deeper in their actions after that book on everything, right? Dig deeper on being a better family man, dig deeper on their business, on their workouts, like everything. You can't listen to that book and then quit on things. You know, that's why I'm doubling down on this. It's
What was the best takeaway for you?
Best takeaway is what the book's all about. Everybody's got 40% more in them. You know, this dude multiple times did 100-mile races, thought he would quit after, 40, 50, 60 miles and did the rest. Like broken shins and, feet, ankles that were throbbing and just taped up and just pushing through it. We've all got 40% more in everything we do.
We've got 40% of the time left to have some fun.
Ooh,
I want to know first,
countdown.
how many
We're counting down.
How many miles are you making in that race?
How many miles was it?
It was 100 miles.
100 miles.
Running? Walking?
Running. Well, I guess you could walk it too, but you got to get in a certain time limit. 24 hours.
24 hours?
Yeah.
Maybe like 10.
Dude, I'm in for maybe 2.
In 24 hours? I mean, you could walk.
Yeah.
You could walk some miles. I walk my dog a mile every day.
Can I do it on the golf course? I don't know. I don't think that counts.
Actually, when I play golf, my steps are incredible. I walk at least
Do you
several
walk or
miles.
ride?
Stride.
You don't.
Oh, I ride, but
Yeah.
even riding, you walk a lot.
You got to walk into the woods to find your ball.
Nah, I walk when I'm pissed up to the green.
He does.
So,
you heard he almost hit a hole in one.
We've got 5 minutes. So let's hammer. He wants to hammer home some overrated, underrated.
Oh, I'm super
And now
pumped for
you're on the
this.
spot now.
What's the
'cause now
first
you
one
gotta-
you're serving him up with? Because we
This
got
is
to rotate.
This is the overrated,
I threw it to
underrated
you.
segment.
I threw it to you to give him the first one, then I'll think of the next one.
Well, first one we had, we started to
And
discuss it.
we got to see if we can get Sam to call something
Sam
underrated,
Sam believes everything is overrated.
He thinks everything's overrated.
The only
except
thing,
for floating. Is that what it's called? Floating.
yeah.
You like float? You like the float? Yeah, I like the float too.
Sam's an enlightened cat.
Nicole White hates
brought
the
us to-
float.
We didn't even know what it was.
Her and I went together, first time floaters, not in the same float thing, together, and they put you in different rooms, obviously. And I just knew it. I knew by the time I got on my float, she was gonna be ghost. She was in there for like 2 minutes and bailed out. That was it for her. It was just like, have you guys ever floated?
Well, sensory
No.
deprivation is the gig, right? I don't know if
I
I want
loved it.
that.
I only did it that once, and I need to go back because every little like body part creaked and cracked and crinkled while I was floating in there.
I'd be out.
I couldn't get
I don't
enough.
want anything.
I'd be
crinkled.
out. I'd be out.
All right, let's go underrated, overrated, because I feel like your opinions are going to be both swift
Yeah,
and
let's
with
do it.
conviction.
You want me to go quick? Is that what you want me to do? Rapid
No,
fire?
you can give some
You can.
perspective.
No, we want you
Okay.
to give some insight as to
Okay.
why you feel the way you do.
All right.
So
How
we're gonna
many-
go.
How many do we have?
We're gonna try and drum up. What do you say? 5?
5-ish. Okay.
Whatever
do
we can
5.
squeeze in.
We'll do whatever
What
we
time
can
we have?
squeeze
5,
in.
Squeeze it.
4, 5.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
First one.
Okay.
Country club memberships, overrated or underrated?
Can I answer this one for him? Because I already know the answer. Because of the 5 a.m. call. I'm not going to answer. I'll let you answer it, then. I already know the answer.
All right, Don, are you the guest?
What do you mean? I just joined a country club.
I know the answer to this one. I'm on the 5 a.m. call.
I just joined a country club, and I'm going to say massively underrated right now. Here's why. Was that the answer? Did you think I was going to say underrated?
Of course.
Yeah, okay. Super under. I'm like, I can't remember the 5 a.m. call that you're referring to. We do so many. Anyways, massively underrated. Let's just take my world, real estate. If you're a real estate agent right now, what is everybody doing? Everybody's buying Zillow leads or Realtor.com leads or home valuation leads, right? Everybody's buying online leads. And listen, I know some people that are spending 40, 50, 60,000 a month on these leads, right? But it's very competitive, which is why the price is so high to buy leads, because everybody's doing it, right? Like when I started my career 7 years ago, nobody was really, doing any social media advertising, certainly not the right way, not producing content, not producing videos or podcasts or anything like that. So that's the direction I went into. Right now, I would tell you if you're in business today and all your competitors are buying a certain type of lead or doing a certain type of thing to generate leads, that I'd go the other way. And I think the country club is absolutely a way to do that. There's a lot of country clubs in the country right now, certainly if they're a golf course type of country club, that are looking for memberships. If you're young, you can usually get in there at a reduced rate and lock yourself in long term. These country clubs are not going away, my friends. Like, they're going to still be there. The one that I joined has been there since 1900.
I'm surprised. I didn't think you were going to actually be able to turn me on this one, but I like the pull through you.
Country clubs
Yeah.
are amazing.
And-
And they've really catered to getting younger people in there by throwing out incredible deals.
Great
Better,
deals.
Get
better-
younger
better
people in there.
membership.
When I look
Fortunately,
at it,
I'm 41, so I don't fit into that class of younger.
when I look at it as just an expense,
Yep.
and I say, what's the country club cost, and then what are some of my business expenses? That really opened my eyes up. I'm like, this is like country clubs are expensive. I get it,
But a fraction of the opportunity
But
cost
when
of
you're
this.
running a business with real expenses, that expense becomes a minor expense, and the upside is phenomenal because think about the people you're now associating with. I go into high schools and speak on a yearly basis, and I always tell the kids, you guys have all heard this line. It's not what you know, but it's who you know. And the kids are like, yeah. And I'm like, I'm here to tell you that's true, guys. Okay? I don't care what the guidance counselor told you sitting in the corner. Don't care what the principal told you. Don't even care what your favorite teacher told you. They're telling you it's all about getting the degree. And I'm telling you right now, even with the degree, it's going to be who you know that makes it for you. Now, there's a couple sides to that. You can be born with that shit, with the silver spoon in your mouth, and have all the contacts and have the Rolodex. Or you can say, I don't even need that. I don't need to be born with it. I'm just going to knock on the doors that I need to create the relationships in my life, right? And I'll just create who I know based off of sheer willpower and work. And it's going to be about who you know, whether you work for it or whether it's given to you. But a country club's a great place to start to know those people.
Safe to say the three of us sitting in this room would be first-generation country club members.
What's going on with the microphone here?
Yeah. I'm
What
a
do you mean?
first generator.
You're holding it. I mean, the headset.
I don't want it to fall
You
off.
look like
I'm
you're
getting
about
ready
to
bust
throw a
the
beat
time.
out or
He's-
something.
Yeah,
DJ
What is
Ant.
that?
I'm spinning.
You look like you're in the
Sam,
8 Mile.
Sam, keep us honest here. What's the overrated or underrated country clubs?
From that perspective, I think it's underrated. I get what he's saying.
He's been
Look
won,
at that.
He's
I
been
have
won
just
over.
sold Sam
wait,
converted
to the
this
underrated
Is, this is
side.
corrupted.
What would your answer have been if it was just straight overrated, underrated? Overrated.
All right.
All right.
Because he's thinking about like, oh, I can just
What do you
golf
got
when
next?
I want on a cheaper price. I get that. If you're looking at country clubs just for the golf, yeah, it's probably overrated because you're only going to golf one place. You're probably never going to golf enough to get that money back. I'm looking at it
As
Lot
a
of good-
business expense.
and so I
Yeah.
answered that question from business perspective.
A lot of good relationships built on the golf course.
What do you got for the next question?
Fancy car. Fancy meaning expensive. Like
Fancy?
I'm talking
This
not
is-
fancy.
This
How-
is
didn't you
so
say you were
ridiculously
41?
easy for me.
I'm talking BMW, Infiniti,
What kind of word is fancy?
Expensive car.
Mercedes,
Luxury?
Luxury car.
luxury car.
Okay.
This is so easy for me. It's not even funny. Completely overrated. Like, just, that's so easy. And the only, like, I guess caveat to that would be, if your group, the people you want to network with are individuals that collect cars for whatever reason. But other than that, this is completely overrated. You're not going to pick up new business, certainly not in my world, by having a new car, a fancy luxury car. Now, you can't go the other way. Like in real estate, you can't pull up with a car that's leaking oil in somebody's driveway that like thinks they have a nice
Yeah, you
driveway
have-
and stuff. And
You have to have a
and
presentable car.
Right.
have to have a presentable
Well, where
car.
does luxury start?
Well,
That's a good question too.
Right.
so
Like, what's
that's
luxury?
what I was saying. Luxury is above your Nissan, your Toyota. You're
gonna
looking
are you gonna go, like,
Lexus,
BM like brand new
BMW,
BMW,
Mercedes,
you're going BM and
Lexus,
up?
Infinity.
Yeah,
And
brand
they're-
new BMs and up.
For me, it's way overrated. it's a cost that makes no sense to me. It's a car. All you do is beat it down. And the perfect example of that is last week I drive an Altima. Or has Chris
So does
Rock?
Chris
What
Rock,
does
an
Chris Rock drive?
Altima.
An Altima.
He drives.
Last week at some point during the day, somebody hit my car. Just backing out, smashed in my passenger side wheel well.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I don't give a shit, right? It's there. If I can pop it out, I'll pop it out, but I don't care. Today he shows up in the pissiest mood because what kind of car you have?
An Infinity.
His Infinity he got into a fender bender and just mad
Quick
at the
question
world.
for you on that. I need your
Control that
opinion.
Stuff, yeah.
If you do a favor for a friend, and in the process of doing that favor, your car gets smashed, is it their fault?
No,
Yeah.
Yes, right?
absolutely not. What is
I-
wrong with you
I don't
people?
know that I believe that. Sam.
Luxury car, overrated, underrated?
Overrated.
Do you think it's someone's
Do you think
fault
it's their
if you're
fault?
doing a
That's what I was
favor?
more interested in. Do you think it's the other person's
Is it
fault?
their fault, Sam?
If you asked me to run to the store for you and I did
that's
it,
my fault.
and then I got into a car accident, is that your fault? No.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
I don't know where I stand on this one, but I was definitely pissy. I was in a pissy mood.
I would have given you a
It's
little.
only a month old.
Were you doing a favor for somebody?
I won't name anybody, but I was definitely helping somebody out.
I would have given him a little bit of leeway and been like, maybe, but he's literally the worst driver in the world.
Yeah, I still needed to watch the.
No, I'm not saying I'm going to make that person pay for the mistake. Probably not. Definitely not.
You're
No,
gonna
I
let
was
them
just
know.
sour about it.
But
I would let them
blaming
know.
for
I would
sure.
let them know, but
Yeah, I'm definitely
rationally,
blaming them.
you couldn't blame them.
Rationally, I could never blame the other person, but I was pissy.
But I would let them know.
I would rationally blame that person, but I wouldn't ask them for money. But I would blame them for the rest of my life.
the rest
of my life, for sure.
fantasy sports, underrated or overrated?
This is the last
And you
question.
can go as a skill or as a hobby, whatever you want to do.
Underrated, overrated. I'm a big fantasy sports fan. I think it's grossly underrated for an escapism tool. Like I use it as like my escape. You know, that's my way to reconnect with my old school boys. You know, like the boys that I grew up with. That's like the one time a year we really get to like kick back and hang out on a Sunday afternoon and draft our fantasy football teams.
Yeah.
It keeps me engaged throughout the leagues, like knowing the teams. Like if you're a sports fan and you're not playing fantasy sports, I think you're missing something there. And there's just huge upside if you want to get into it on the business side. There is huge upside in fantasy sports to make money off of it, whether it's going to be from the gambling route or the content route or the stats route. Like I think right now it's completely underrated in so many different ways. Even though it's wildly popular, I think there's only, room to grow.
We got to go 2 more quick questions.
Can I answer or no?
What was the question?
Tom wants in on the fantasy
Fantasy
sports.
sport. Oh, go. I want your opinion.
It's extremely underrated.
Yeah.
But daily fantasy, amazing.
I could never
I'm
get into
addicted
it.
to it. I'm terrible at it.
I don't play the daily because I'll just lose all my money.
Fantasy
the
leagues,
leagues.
I love. The camaraderie of hanging out with your friends that
Bragging
one time.
rights.
But I'm in leagues now, like baseball. I'm in fantasy baseball now.
Me too.
I don't keep up with the players. I show up to the draft. I don't have the magazine or the cheat sheet, any of that stuff. I'm just like, I'll take D. Johnson. He sounds really
if
good.
I
You're
could make
still
real
drafting
money-
Omar Vizquel.
Yeah, and I have, and I just have to touch on this because I've never heard of this injury before, and it probably has nothing to do with this.
Ooh,
but
what? The guy from Seattle, the
the
outfielder?
guy from Seattle, his name is Haniger.
I have him on my team, dude.
He tore his testicle.
No, he ruptured.
Ruptured
Ruptured
He
it with a
ruptured
foul
his
ball.
testicle. He's on my team, and he was a beast.
I was reading the stats, or not the stats. I was
reading the
write-up
update.
about it,
Yes.
and the guy wrote from Yahoo Sports. He's like, "This hurts me to write this."
I read the same
Ruptured
thing. I
testicle.
forwarded it to my friends that are in the league, and I'm
He
like,
gets
you can't even make this up.
He gets a sympathy draft pick from me for the next 5 years, just based on that.
If I could make real money on fantasy sports and play pretend GM all day long,
Best job ever.
that's the best job in the world. Like being the GM
That is a good job.
of a sport. Probably NFL because you just have, you have the 52 players. You've got more opportunities. Like
Is it the
NBA,
best
like,
job? Look at Brian
oh,
Cashman.
it's a
No, he said
extremely-
pretend.
Oh, pretend one.
To make
Pretend
money.
job,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, not the real
not
thing.
in real life, because that dude looked like a jolly young fellow when he was the first to GM of the.
Cashman, he was never a good-looking dude.
No, but he he's aged quite a bit.
He's also been there for like.
He's been there for
25 years,
he's been there
man.
for
His life
25
has not
years,
been
but
tough.
I think he's cut some life off at the end of it. Cut some years off at the end of his life.
Another one for you, and then
do you
we'll
got?
finish up with the grand finale.
What do you got?
Butler service on vacation. Underrated, overrated, like in the Caribbean where they offer it.
I mean, is that real life? Like,
Yeah, like in other words, for the price, underrated or overrated, because you do pay more.
underrated.
Underrated.
Yeah,
You're going underrated on that.
absolutely.
Don?
I've never had it, but I'm gonna say underrated. I want
Butler
it.
service? Yeah. I mean, I don't care what the price is. It's going to be an underrated service. When you go on vacation, are you there to start, like, we do this when we travel. It's like, hey, let's stop at the store. Let's get a bunch of water bottles. Let's get all the stuff we need. So, like, we can have we can host a couple, maybe podcasts or little events or whatever. Like, you got to do the work. Now you're traveling. You're doing the work. I mean, these are business trips usually that we're doing that kind of stuff. But if I'm on vacation mode, phone's going away and I'm chilling out, like, I don't want to go get the water bottles. I don't want to go get the whatever it is. I don't want to have to, like, my laundry needs to be, like, cleaned. I don't want to have to go running around trying to figure out who's going to clean it or whatever. Like, the butler dude, yeah, absolutely. I want to completely check out, unplug, let my battery charge back up to 100%. I don't want to be coming back from vacation on 78%. 78% on your cell phone, it goes to 0 a lot quicker than when you're on 100. I want to come back 100 feeling really good.
I'll buy that.
I've got a good buddy who gets butler service. He's got young kids. And I'm like, there's no going back from here. You can't go away with your kids ever and not have butler service.
You've conditioned yourself.
Can't go back.
I'm getting it now.
And here's the other
I've
thing.
had it.
Here's the one thing, though. I'm a big believer in spending your money on anything that can give you more energy and make you feel good, right? Like, people will say, you like to buy nice clothes, right?
Yeah, not present outfit, obviously. Don told me I wasn't dressed up enough.
But
But yeah.
generally speaking,
Yeah.
I didn't say that. I said your
you
shirt
enjoy
was
to
really
buy
small.
nice clothes, and you do too, Don. Like,
I shop-
I know
I shop at TJ Maxx.
clothes that fit me right, that make me feel good, they give me a better energy during the day. To some people, that's not the case. Some people, clothes are just clothes, right? I got to have clothes. I got to wear it. I don't care what they are. I'm just going to wear whatever it is. I'm a big believer in the look good, you feel good, you play good.
I believe that.
I believe in that too. I mean, when I look in the mirror when I leave, and if I got a pretty kick-ass outfit on, I'm like, yeah, it's gonna be a good day.
It
You look
gives
good
you
today,
more
man.
energy,
Yeah,
man.
you look
It gives you a
strong.
It's
better
gonna be a good
feel.
day, and then maybe you'll slip in a few questions that people are like, hey, does my outfit look all right? Like, does this match? Just so they would be like, yeah, your outfit's awesome.
And the greatest athletes, I mean, I get it, they're athletes, but they're like LeBron James going. Let's circle it all the way back here. LeBron
We are
James,
going to with our last question, too.
LeBron James invests over $1 million a year into his body. Like,
Yep.
listen, guys, we all have one body. We're going to be here for a certain amount of time. Reinvest in you. Gym, mental, the clothes, like anything attached to the body making me feel good, the butler bringing me sparkling water, all that shit, I'm in for it.
All right. Last one. And
Cars,
this one
I'm
is
not.
is to bring it
Plain
full
sparkling
circle.
water.
So
Yeah, I want the plain.
you gave a pretty impassioned point of view about Michael Jordan
Yeah.
as a reflector on his career on the court. Under or overrated?
Underrated. Michael Jordan?
On
Yeah.
his career?
He could have
Michael Jordan as a basketball player, is he
He could have
underrated or overrated?
10-peated.
Remembering that it doesn't have any impact on whether he was great or not, because he was great. He's the greatest. I'd say because revisionist history exists, I'm going to go overrated.
No, he could have 10-peated. If
I'm
the
going to say
NBA
underrated because you didn't let
Underrated.
me answer. Sam?
and MJ,
I mean, the whole room's against me. This is bullshit.
You went underrated.
MJ was kicked out of the league for gambling. Do you guys know the real story?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. He was kicked. He didn't go to play to fill out Daddy's dream of him playing baseball.
For the Barons?
It was the heat was on.
He was banned.
It's like Dustin
from the
Johnson's
NBA.
6-month hiatus.
The heat was on from David
Yeah.
Stern and also about his dad. Like there's
Yep.
things that loom
And
about
there was
the dad.
that whole thing, but mostly it was he was gambling out of control, and they banned him from the league. Backdoor ban, come back later, and then he went to go play baseball. He would have won those 2 championships that the Rockets won. I know, I get it, Hakeem the Dream and all this kind of stuff. He would have beaten the Rockets in both of those championships. So there's
Yeah, they beat a
8 right
tired
there.
Knicks team. They beat a who else did they? Who did they beat for the second championship?
Yeah, they beat the Knicks.
They beat the Knicks in '94, and then in '95 they beat the Orlando Magic with Shaq and
Yeah.
Penny Hardaway.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Just look at what he did. I mean, like,
I
imagine
love
if he
him. I'm just
played for
saying, like,
Golden
people
State
think
in
he
his
never
prime
missed
with
at
these
this point.
players that they have now. I think we're not even going to go into it. With
Dennis
Golden
Rodman
State
said
and
the
these
other
teams.
day on somebody's show, Dennis Rodman said Jordan would score 50 in this era.
I do believe that.
It's always
I do believe
it's
that.
hard to go from one era to another era. It's always going to be a tough argument.
Unstoppable
There's nothing
force.
you can really do.
And he would have worked on his shooting even more so in today's game.
But when you go back into all the eras, I can't match anybody up against MJ and Kobe a close second on their mindset of just not giving an absolute fuck what anybody thought of them. And for you guys, the reason you brought me onto this podcast was to see how you could like really spark this thing. I think you guys need to lean into more content around the podcast and not give an absolute fuck about what anybody thinks, and that's when you're going to start providing the most upside value to your listeners.
I agree, and we need to integrate the word "fuck" more.
Fuck it.
I feel like it's been integrated a ton.
It's been integrated on the podcast.
All right. Well, that's been another episode. Today was more of a hangout, but Byron, it was cool having you by. You should come by again.
I want you guys to have me back on episode 55 because 5 is my favorite number, but we can't have me back, right away on 5.
Right.
And then I can tell my whole story on 55.
If we don't make it to 55, we're just gonna come back on yours.
Come back on mine.
Yeah.
I'll definitely have you guys anytime.
At 155, you
Anytime.
passed 55. All right.
Yep.
All right. Well, we're signing off. This has been the Roads Less Taken. Have a good day, everybody.
Subscribe up.